To the outside world, Diogo Jota had it all. A Portuguese prodigy turned Premier League star. He lit up stadiums with his speed, footwork, and relentless drive. At Liverpool, he quickly became a fan favorite, reliable, fearless, and humble. Every time he stepped onto the pitch, Jota gave his all. But behind the cameras, under the roar of the crowds, something darker was beginning to take hold. Jota's rise to fame had been swift. Born in Porto, Portugal, his love for football began early. By 17, he was already drawing attention from scouts across Europe. Fans remember his electric performances at Wolverhampton Wanderers before Liverpool secured him in a 2020 deal that many called a steal. At Anfield, he quickly proved his worth, scoring crucial goals and becoming Klopp's secret weapon. But while the headlines were full of praise, his body and mind were quietly starting to unravel. Those close to the team would later say they noticed changes. He trained harder than anyone, almost obsessively. He studied game footage late into the night, skipped rest days, and took painkillers to push through minor injuries. Some teammates thought it was admirable. Others called it concerning. But Jota never slowed down. His family described him as driven but distant. His wife, Ines, supported him through everything, but she admitted in interviews that the man she married was slowly disappearing. "He used to laugh all the time," she once said. "Now, sometimes I had to remind him to smile." When the media asked Jota about personal life, he always redirected, "I'm here to talk about football." But something shifted during the 2023 to 2024 season. Injuries plagued him one after another. A hamstring here, a calf strain there. Each time he returned to the field, he looked just a little more worn down. The spark that once defined his play seemed dimmer. Still, fans stood by him, posting comments like, "Jota bleeds for this team," and "He's a warrior." They didn't see the toll it was taking, or maybe they didn't want to. What no one knew was that Jota had been quietly battling chronic pain, insomnia, and anxiety. Team doctors prescribed medication. He kept it private. Some close friends say he started seeing a therapist. Others deny it. What's clear is this: by mid-2024, the pressure was mounting. He began missing team events. He skipped interviews. Some fans speculated he was unhappy with the club. Others thought he might be preparing for a transfer. But the truth was far more complicated and far more tragic. Liverpool's internal team issued no statements. Jota remained silent. His social media grew eerily quiet. He used to post highlights, motivational quotes, and behind-the-scenes moments. By late 2024, the posts stopped. He became a ghost online, there but fading. The media didn't push too hard. After all, Jota wasn't the type to stir controversy. He wasn't flashy, arrogant, or outspoken. In fact, that's what made him so lovable. But the silence was deafening. Then came the match that many would later call his final performance. It was a cold March evening. Liverpool faced off against Tottenham, and in the 78th minute, Jota struck a stunning goal from 30 yards out. A screamer that bent through the air and hit the top corner. The crowd exploded. Commentators called it a reminder of his brilliance. What they didn't know was that it would be his last televised goal. After the match, Jota walked straight down the tunnel. No celebrations, no media, no smiles. In the days that followed, he didn't show up to training. Klopp brushed it off publicly, saying he was managing some knocks. But inside the club, there was concern. He wasn't answering calls. He wasn't at home. His agent didn't know where he was. Fans speculated wildly. Had he walked away from the game? Was he injured? Depressed? Transferring to Saudi Arabia? The tabloids ran theories, but none had answers. Behind closed doors, those closest to Jota knew something was wrong. Very wrong. What they didn't know, at least not yet, was that Diogo Jota had been hiding a secret. A life no one imagined. A truth too heavy for one man to carry. The media storm was just beginning, and by the time the world found out what was really going on, it would be too late. The world knew Diogo Jota as a warrior, tough, relentless, and humble. But after his final match-winning goal and quiet disappearance, the public began asking questions. Where was he? Why had he vanished so suddenly after such a career-defining moment? Behind closed doors, the whispers had already begun. It started with a post, or rather, the lack of one. After his stunning screamer against Tottenham, fans flooded social media with celebration clips and tags. But Jota's official accounts remained silent. Not a word, not even a repost. That's when fans started to wonder, is everything okay with Jota? One Reddit thread titled, "Jota gone silent after screamer. Anyone else worried?" began trending. YouTube fan channels speculated on everything from a hidden injury to secret transfer talks. One video with over 2 million views posed the question directly. Is Diogo Jota battling something bigger than football? Those who worked behind the scenes already had concerns. Team staff mentioned Jota had been withdrawn for months. He stopped talking in team meetings, one assistant said anonymously. He'd show up, train, and disappear. There were days we didn't even know if he was in the building. Even his longtime friend and former Wolves teammate, Ruben Neves, made a cryptic comment during a podcast. Sometimes the strongest people are those who never ask for help. Then came the rumors. Someone inside the club leaked that Jota had been prescribed antidepressants as early as mid-2023. Another claimed he'd been battling a painkiller dependency, using medication to push through matches. None of this was confirmed, but the whispers spread like wildfire. Tabloids ran headlines like, "Jota's final match? Inside the shocking disappearance of a football star. Dark days at Anfield. Is Jota hiding something?" From hero to missing, the enigma of Diogo Jota. Ines, his wife, was approached by journalists outside their Liverpool home. She refused to speak. Neighbors noticed she had stopped walking the dog. The curtains were always drawn. Some claimed they hadn't seen her in days. Then came a story that shifted everything. A former youth coach, who had mentored Jota as a teenager, spoke to a Portuguese outlet. He described a young boy who was brilliant, gifted, but deeply afraid of failure. He recalled Jota breaking down in tears after missing a penalty at 15, refusing to eat or speak for 2 days. That fear of failure, he said, never really left him. Fans began piecing it together. The silence, the injuries, the obsessive training, the disappearances, and then the voicemail. A close friend, anonymous for safety, shared with authorities that they had received a voice message from Jota days before he disappeared. In it, Jota said, "I don't know how to do this anymore. I'm tired. It's not just football. It's everything." The friend tried calling back. No answer. By this point, the club had launched a private search. Jota hadn't used his credit cards. His phone was off. No GPS signal. He hadn't left the country. There was no check-in to any hospital, hotel, or clinic. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. The media shifted tone, from gossip to concern. Liverpool released a statement. "Diogo Jota remains part of our family. We ask for privacy and understanding as we work to support him and his loved ones." For many fans, it was the first real confirmation that something was deeply wrong. And yet, no one could answer the question that hung in the air like smoke. What was Jota hiding? That's when a cryptic blog post surfaced on an anonymous footballer mental health forum. Posted under the username, number 20 anonymous. It read, "They all think you're fine as long as you score. Nobody sees you when you cry in the hotel. Nobody checks on you when you can't breathe at 2 a.m. They just want goals. But what happens when you have nothing left to give?" The post was deleted within minutes, but not before screenshots spread across Twitter and TikTok, with many convinced it came from Jota himself. The timing, the style, the language, it all pointed to someone breaking under invisible pressure. The post ended with one chilling line, "If I disappear, just know I tried." Suddenly, the story wasn't about football anymore. It wasn't about injuries or transfers or contracts. It was about a man, a human being breaking down in silence, while the world cheered and never noticed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Diogo Jota's vanishing act had now become front-page news across Europe. Fans were no longer asking, "Where is he?" They were asking what drove him away. What began as whispers behind the scenes was now a storm of speculation, fueled by fragmented truths, anonymous sources, and deeply buried secrets finally starting to surface. The first major revelation came from inside Liverpool's medical department, an anonymous staff member speaking to a British tabloid. They claimed Jota had been battling a chronic nerve condition in his back for over a year. The pain, they said, was debilitating, and despite the public optimism about his comebacks, each return to the pitch left him worse off than before. He was on cortisone injections, painkillers, and anti-inflammatories nearly every week, the source claimed. No one wanted it public. There was too much riding on him. What made the situation worse was Jota's silence. He didn't want sympathy. He didn't want special treatment. He wanted to be seen as strong, reliable. Even as he limped through training, even as he vomited in the locker room from the side effects of medication, he kept playing. That silence became a prison. The club's media department, under pressure to maintain a consistent brand image, reportedly encouraged him to keep up appearances online. One insider revealed that some of Jota's Instagram posts during his injury periods were pre-scheduled and written by a PR team, not by Jota himself. It was like managing a ghost, the insider said. He was present, but he wasn't there. Then came the leak that sent social media into overdrive. A series of encrypted chat logs surfaced online, allegedly between Jota and a private sports psychologist he had been seeing since 2022. The source of the leak was never confirmed, but the messages were heartbreaking. In one, he wrote, "I feel like a machine. I play, I hurt, I heal just enough, and I go again. I don't know who I am without football, but I don't want this version of me either." Another read, "I'm scared of quitting, but I'm also scared of waking up tomorrow and doing it all over again." The public reaction was seismic. Hashtags like #PrayForJota and #MentalHealthMatters trended worldwide. Former players began to speak out. Thiago Alcantara, Jamie Carragher, and even Cristiano Ronaldo shared messages of support. But to many, it felt too late. Then the tabloids struck again. One Portuguese outlet published an unverified story claiming Jota had been approached by organized fixers, a betting syndicate that allegedly tried to pressure him into underperforming during a Europa League match in 2024. The article offered no hard proof, but the headline was sensational enough to stick. Was Jota being threatened? Match-fixing scandal could explain his disappearance. Liverpool FC quickly denied any connection to match-fixing and condemned the article. But fans were rattled. Could this explain Jota's withdrawal from public life? Had he been caught in something darker than just injury and depression? Around this time, a former teammate, who remained unnamed, told a podcast host, he started believing everyone was using him. The club, the fans, the sponsors. He didn't think anyone cared about him as a person. Even Ines, his wife, reportedly tried to intervene. According to close family friends, she had pushed Jota to take a break, to go away and recover. But he refused. One friend quoted him as saying, "If I stop now, I might never come back. And if I don't come back, what's left of me?" There was also speculation of a personal family crisis, a falling out with a close relative over business decisions and control of Jota's image rights. Some say this fractured trust in those closest to him. Others believe it was just another crack in an already fragile foundation. Despite mounting concern, the silence continued. No official statement, no contact, and still no sighting of Jota. A popular YouTube documentary titled The Disappearance of Diogo Jota, Football's Quietest Tragedy, racked up 8 million views in a week. The thumbnail showed Jota's face split down the middle, one side smiling in his Liverpool kit, the other fading into black. In the comments section, one post summed it up best. "He gave us everything, and we never asked if he had anything left to give." Behind all the headlines, the speculation, and the viral posts was one simple, painful truth. Diogo Jota had been drowning in silence, and no one saw it until it was too late. The world held its breath. It had been nearly 3 weeks since Diogo Jota's disappearance, and speculation had reached a fever pitch. Fans organized vigils outside Anfield, holding candles, posters, and Portuguese flags. Liverpool supporters around the globe posted messages of hope. "Come home, Jota." But hope was starting to feel like denial. Then came the call that changed everything. At 6:47 a.m. on April 2nd, 2025, a hiker in the Peak District National Park contacted emergency services. They had discovered a silver Audi Q5, mud-covered, abandoned near a remote trail. Inside, they found Jota's phone, a duffel bag, and a handwritten letter addressed simply, "To everyone." Police sealed off the area. Within hours, word leaked to the press. The car was registered to Diogo Jota. The search intensified, now focused on a 20-mile stretch of moorland, dense with hills, trees, and silence. For 48 hours, drones flew overhead, search dogs combed through ravines, and volunteers joined the effort. On the morning of April 4th, they found him. Diogo Jota's body was discovered near the edge of a cliff, just 2.3 miles from where his car had been left. He was lying beneath a rocky ledge, partially covered in leaves and soil, wearing the same hoodie he'd worn during his last team appearance. There were no signs of violence, no signs of struggle, just peace and heartbreak. The Liverpool Football Club released a single, devastating statement. "It is with deep sorrow that we confirm the passing of Diogo Jota. We are devastated. He was a player, a teammate, a friend, and a brother. Our love and support are with his family. May he rest in peace." The football world stopped. Clubs across Europe held a minute of silence. Liverpool's next home match opened with a tribute video on the stadium screen. His image lit up the Kop end, and the crowd sang "You'll Never Walk Alone." But this time, the words echoed like a eulogy. The letter found in Jota's car was released days later by his family. It was short, heart-wrenching, honest. "To everyone who believed in me, I'm sorry I couldn't keep going. To those who only saw the goals, the stats, the shirt, please remember I was more than a footballer. I was human, and I was tired. I tried. I really did." In the days that followed, more truths emerged. Jota had been staying at a private Airbnb under a false name near the park for nearly a week. Surveillance footage showed him buying a few essentials: water, bread, and a notebook. Locals described him as quiet but kind. One shopkeeper recalled, "He said thank you 3 times for a coffee. You could tell something was heavy on him." The autopsy ruled his death a suicide, with no signs of foul play. Toxicology confirmed traces of sleeping aids and antidepressants in his system. No alcohol, no drugs, just a man who had run out of strength. The backlash toward the football industry was swift and unforgiving. Critics blamed the brutal schedule, the lack of mental health support, the pressure from clubs to perform, and the culture of silence that still haunts elite sports. Former teammates spoke openly for the first time. "We knew he was struggling, but he was so proud, so private." Andy Robertson, "I wish I asked him more often if he was okay." Mohamed Salah, "He saved games. We couldn't save him." Virgil van Dijk, Jota's family set up a foundation in his honor, the Number 20 Project, dedicated to supporting mental health for young athletes across Europe. Ines, his wife, released a powerful video statement days later. "He was not weak. He was strong for too long. And now we speak so others don't stay silent." Social media turned into a river of grief and love. Clips of Jota's best goals trended. Fans around the world created tributes, murals, banners, even tattoos. In Portugal, his hometown renamed the local stadium Estádio Diogo Jota. But perhaps the most haunting moment came during a Champions League match weeks later. In the 20th minute, his jersey number. Fans across Europe stood up, clapped, and chanted his name. Jota, Jota, Jota. It wasn't about goals anymore. It wasn't about football. It was about a man who gave everything he had to the game, until he had nothing left. Diogo Jota's death didn't just silence a player. It shattered an illusion. The illusion that talent and success are enough to save someone from suffering. That money cures all wounds. That scoring goals is a measure of personal happiness. Jota had it all on paper, but paper can't carry pain. In the weeks after his death, the world of football was forced to confront a truth it had long ignored. Elite athletes are bleeding behind closed doors. They break, they spiral, they hide, and sometimes they don't make it back. But Jota's passing sparked a movement. Clubs changed their tune. Liverpool FC, often regarded as one of the most progressive clubs in Europe, launched the Jota Initiative, a comprehensive mental health program for youth academy players, first-team members, and even support staff. It included 24/7 access to mental health professionals, mandatory wellness check-ins, education on recognizing signs of burnout and depression, anonymous feedback tools for players feeling unsafe or unheard. Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and several top clubs followed with similar programs. FIFA and UEFA, under mounting public pressure, announced new mental health guidelines, including rest periods, off-season protections, and mandatory psychological evaluations for under 21 players entering the professional league system. For the first time, footballers were encouraged to speak up, not benched or benched for it. Fans reimagined the role of support. Supporters began reevaluating the way they interact with their heroes. The abuse hurled at players for a missed penalty, a bad game, or a contract negotiation started to be seen for what it really was: a toxic culture that dehumanizes. Jota's story helped fans remember that under the kits, the sponsorships, and the stats, these are human beings with real lives, real trauma, and real limits. The banner that hung in Anfield for the rest of the 2025 season said it all. He gave us everything. We gave him pressure. Never again. Ines and the Number 20 Project. Ines, Jota's widow, became the unexpected face of reform. Through heartbreak, she built something that would outlast her grief. The Number 20 Project, named after Jota's jersey, offered free mental health counseling for academy footballers and struggling professionals. Within 6 months, it had partnered with 18 clubs across Europe. It was backed by current and former players, including Cristiano Ronaldo, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Marcus Rashford. Ines spoke at conferences, schools, and stadiums, repeating one simple message: check on your strong friends, because sometimes they're the ones fading the fastest. Her TED Talk, titled "The Loneliest Number is 20, went viral. Through tears, she spoke of quiet nights filled with worry, of how Jota would stare out the window for hours after games, of how the pressure to provide, perform, and never be a distraction finally swallowed him whole. She ended with the same words found in Jota's final letter: I was human, and I was tired. The football world remembers. On what would have been Jota's 29th birthday, Liverpool held a tribute match, Portugal 11 versus Liverpool legends. His teammates wore black armbands. A permanent memorial was unveiled at Anfield. A bronze statue of Jota in motion, ball at his feet, eyes toward the cop. Every April 4th, stadiums across Europe now hold a moment of silence in his honor. Commentators no longer gloss over player absences as minor knocks. Instead, they say, they're taking time for their mental health, and it's no longer whispered shamefully, but stated with respect. A legacy etched in more than goals. Diogo Jota's name no longer just lives on in highlight reels, trophy engravings, or chants from the stands. His legacy has become a turning point. He reminded the world that even the brightest stars can dim in silence, that trophies don't mend anxiety, that love and fame cannot replace inner peace, that mental health is not a luxury, it's survival. In the end, Jota's greatest assist wasn't on the pitch. It was in the lives he saved after his own ended. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell.